Listen, video games are a passion of mine, but I am a terrible gamer. I'm usually embarrassingly late to new releases. I didn't play Elden Ring until months after it came out. I keep missing new releases because I'm too busy playing old weird games nobody cares about. And when I'm not doing that, I'm trying to get caught up on shit I missed. Like Neo. Have y'all heard of fucking Neo? Why didn't anybody fucking tell me about Neo? So regardless, I decided I wanted to neatly rank all my favorite games from the 2020s so far. I mean, fuck, we still got a few fucking years left of this shit. Who's to say what will come out in the future? So as of right now, these are my favorite games of the 2020s. I already fucking said that, let's just get started. Resident Evil 2 is easily my favorite game from 2019. Resident Evil 3 is definitely not my favorite game of 2020. I was extremely hyped for this game after 2 bangers from Capcom. I was excited to add another one to the collection not even a year after the last one came out. And then it came out, and honestly I forgot all about it. I played this game once at a friend's house 2 months after it came out, and yes, I finished it in one sitting, and no, I'm not ashamed of it. Fuck off. Yeah, this game's not that great, but it doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I got to play through it with some friends, I beat the game forever, and I'm done with it. And I'm honestly fine with that. Sure, it wasn't very scary and the boss fights were strenuous, but I enjoyed it more or less. My biggest problem is honestly how linear this game feels. Resident Evils always shine when it comes to their level design. They actively encourage you to explore every nook and cranny and find all the loot you can. Meanwhile, this game's all about go, run bitch, shoot the fucking zombies, yeah, fight the fucking lizard people, hell yeah. If it's Nemesis, try not to get wombo combo, you fucking piece of shit. I get that these games are meant to be played quickly. Hell, it literally times you. But I haven't seen this series so focused on linear action and set pieces since fucking Resident Evil 6. And I don't know about you guys, but I really don't want another Resident Evil 6. These set pieces look cool, I guess, but I was never really fearing for my life during any of them. This might sound like a weird complaint, but I think this game gives you too much ammo way too quickly. The series has always encouraged players to save their resources, which includes ammo. But this one seems to throw that idea out the window completely. This game's a fucking cakewalk. Nemesis isn't even that scary. It often feels like his movements are scripted, which takes away from what made Mr. X so terrifying in the previous game. It doesn't feel like I'm constantly being stalked by this unstoppable beast. It feels like he only shows up when it's required of him. I've been talking a lot of shit so far, so let's say some good things so it actually makes sense as to why this is on my list to begin with. The game is at its absolute best when it actually slows down a little and gives the player time to take in the awesome scenery that most areas contain. This game looks fucking great, and I wish there was more memorable areas to pair with that. This game's combat feels really good. Everything is responsive and very satisfying. This is some of the best action the series has to offer so far. But action has never been what draws me to this franchise. It's always been about the survival horror aspects, and I just really wish this game didn't ignore them as much. Some people absolutely hate this game, and I can see their perspective entirely. But on the other end of the spectrum, we have people who claim you'll only like it if you previously played the original, which is the dumbest argument I've ever heard. If that was the case, then why does this game exist? What would be the point of remaking a classic for a new audience if only the old audience would enjoy it? It's stupid, and I'm tired of people saying this. It's a mediocre game, but it's nothing offensive. I'm mainly including it on the list as I feel like it sets the ground really well for the new Resident Evil 4 remake, so that might be good. Phasmaphobia is a game that kind of flew under my radar at first, and whilst I'm ashamed to admit that, I'm glad I finally discovered it, even though I was late to the party. Phasmaphobia is one of the best horror games I've played in a long time. The fact that it's multiplayer is great because honestly it wouldn't be that fun on its own. It's meant to be played with friends. You're supposed to be spooked together. Even though it's obviously not done yet, it looks like it might beat Outlast Trials at a punch. And the fact that you can talk to your friends in-game is amazing. And now that's probably going to become a standard for a lot of multiplayer horror games. If Outlast Trials comes out and isn't like this, everyone's going to be like, but Phasmaphobia blah blah blah. I guarantee it. And yeah, this game is pretty fucking scary. The ghosts can lock doors, mess with radios and cameras, they can fucking hear you and find where you're hiding. That is horrifying and I love it. And as time goes on, the devs continue to add new and exciting game mechanics that give this game a lot of replay value. I can definitely see myself shitting my pants at this game for years to come. I honestly never played these games growing up. What can I say, I'm a skateboy, ride or die. Tony Hawk's just never really sparked my interest. It was so unrealistic and weird, and why the fuck did that dude's head just pop? When I first got my PS4, the first game that my parents got for me was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, and I fucking hated it. It is single-handedly the reason I never wanted to see the series again. Fuck that game and everything it stands for. This game, on the other hand, is really good. It's not great or anything. If it was, I'd probably still be playing it now, but it's really fucking fun. The controls are great, performing tricks feels awesome, and overall this game is the perfect way to pass the time. I only ever played Freescape because the challenges were honestly fucking boring. I know that statement alone is gonna piss a lot of people off, but whatever, I don't really care. Left 4 Dead 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Back 4 Blood definitely isn't that, but I still kinda like this game. For context, I've been wanting them to make a third Left 4 Dead game for like half my life at this point. You get it? Because Half-Life. I've more or less accepted the fact that it's probably never gonna happen. So for years I've been trying to find a zombie game that fills that void in my heart. And when Turtle Rock, the original creators of Left 4 Dead, announced a new zombie shooter in the same vein as Left 4 Dead, my heart fucking stopped. But the game released to extremely mixed reviews. A majority of players really seem to dislike this game. And after playing it, it's honestly kind of understandable why. But despite its flaws, I still enjoyed it quite a bit. This game is packed with a variety of guns, throwables, traps, and melee weapons to help you disperse these weird worm zombies. What the fuck do I call these guys again? The game's campaign is pretty short, but the fun and interesting levels make up for it. The zombies are a lot of fucking fun to fight. During your first playthrough, you'll encounter several different zombie types, such as the bruisers, or this nasty fucking thing. Jesus, what is that? You also encounter several interesting boss fights. I also have a few complaints about this game, and I'll just sum those up really quick. Card system? Fuck that. Annoying ass characters? Fuck that. Incredibly stupid AI? Fuck that. But you get it, this game's a lot of fun for the first few hours, but it kinda starts to lose steam after that. Which honestly kinda sucks because I still find replay value in Left 4 Dead 2 till this day. So yes, I like Back 4 Blood, I'm stupid and biased, I know, but I probably won't return to this game anytime soon. I fucking love the Hitman franchise. My first experience with the franchise was Hitman Absolution, so it's probably a surprise that I love this franchise as much as I do. I actually kinda like Absolution. I made a whole video about it. You can watch it, I guess. I don't know. It's not that good. I actually want to cover a few of these games on the channel. I've been sitting on a Blood Money video for like 2 years, you get it. And I've been fucking loving this new trilogy. The first game resurrected my love for Hitman, and I spent hours replaying the second one. And the last of the trilogy is alright. It's pretty good. All jokes aside, this is a pretty great game, and a nice conclusion to the trilogy. This series has never been one for great graphics, but it actually looks pretty damn good this time. These memorable ass levels look so fucking beautiful. The gameplay is pretty much exactly as you'd expect. I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this game 47 manages to look a lot less like an alien, which is nice. I don't have much to say about the plot of this game, because I didn't really pay attention, I can't lie. It was just that same boring ass Modern Warfare ass loading screen over and over, with the same boring narrators over and over. To be frank, this trilogy story never really did much for me. It couldn't really keep my attention with the first game, and they completely lost me when the second game came out and the devs didn't even bother to make actual cutscenes. That's not to say the other plots of the series were any better. This is not a series known for good narratives though, so it's fine. We all came here for the same reasons anyway. This is random, but I love the whole use basically anything as a melee weapon mechanic that they carried over from Absolution to this trilogy. You can beat someone's ass with a banana. There's no limiting 47. Speaking of lack of limitations, the game provides so many unique ways to go about your objectives. You can set up these insanely specific scenarios where you pull off some Final Destination-esque skills. In one mission, you can actually dress up like a detective and solve a fucking murder mystery before committing the big kill yourself. I enjoyed my time with Hitman 3 quite a bit, but honestly, it's probably the weakest installment of the new trilogy in my eyes. That's not to say it's bad in any way, it's a great game with a lot of replay value. It speaks volumes about the quality of this trilogy if this is the worst one in it. Hyped as fuck for that James Bond game, I'm sure these guys will definitely deliver. Resident Evil is one of my favorite horror franchises, and honestly I think it might remain that for the rest of my days. The series has given me countless exciting games to play, not that one. And Resident Evil 8 is no exception. I've already made an entire video about this game, so I'll just keep my thoughts short. Resident Evil 8 is a horrifying and memorable experience filled with several cool locations and even cooler enemies. Except for this guy. Fuck this guy. Exploring the village was enjoyable despite how repetitive it felt sometimes, and getting to explore locations like the castle are moments I'll never forget. I'm not really sure if I prefer this game or its predecessor, I don't know. I think I'm overdue for a replay on both, honestly. But for now I'll say this, Resident Evil 8 is fucking insane. But in a good way this time, get the fuck out of here. Play this shit, y'all. Finally, we're getting down to single digits. Dishonored is probably my favorite game ever made, no joke. So obviously I was extremely hyped for Deathloop, and that shit fucking delivered. This took the gameplay of Dishonored and completely overhauled it into something new. Not only can you sneak around these well-designed levels and stab dudes, you can also now sneak around these well-designed levels and shoot dudes. This game also has powers, because what's a good arcane game without powers? You can teleport, sneak, and stab your way to victory just like you could all the way back in 2012. Deathloop is similar enough to Dishonored to pull in old fans, but unique enough to feel like its own thing entirely. As you go about your tasks in Deathloop, you'll start to be stalked by another player. What I mean is, after you complete the base game, you'll unlock the Protect the Loot game mode, which allows you to take control of another assassin and hunt down someone in their own game, Dark Souls style. Yeah, I know, okay, fuck you guys, I'll fight all you right now, fuck you! And I think this idea is really fucking cool, and they should have definitely explained it better in the promotional material. Shame on y'all for letting this game flop, but honestly, Arcane, it's also kinda your fault. Great game though. Demon's Souls is fucking amazing. I'm so glad I get to experience this game in all its glory in HD now. I'm a shill for some Dark Souls, and Demon's Souls remind me of the first time I played Dark Souls, in the best ways and the worst ways possible. Playing this game felt like I was replaying Dark Souls for the first time. It gave me this nice feeling of nostalgia, and then it was immediately followed by anger. The combat feels about as great as you'd expect. They tried to keep the feeling of the original game, and honestly I think that was a great choice. This combat made me reminisce on the first two Dark Souls games. It's so simplistic yet exciting. Of course it has downsides like the camera repeatedly fucking you over, but goddamn this game is so fucking beautiful and it makes my eyes feel like they're bleeding. I've never played the original, but I've been really enjoying my time with this game, so maybe I'll check that one out too. I honestly don't have much else to say about this game because I've been taking my time with it. This is something you'll want to experience yourself. Dying Light is a masterpiece. Dying Light 2 isn't a masterpiece, but it's still really fucking good. At this game's absolute best, I enjoyed it more than its predecessor, and at its worst it felt like a Dead Island installment, which is to say this game is pretty solid. I had so much fun exploring this absolutely beautiful map, jumping from rooftop to rooftop, running through these detailed ass interiors, using vents to launch myself in the air. It all felt great. Dying Light 2 masters the parkour and makes it even more fun than its predecessor. Not to mention that the human v human combat has been improved on significantly, and killing zombies is as fun as ever. One complaint I had was just how toned down the nighttime felt. People often said the first game's night was too scary, but I don't know, too scary doesn't really sound like a bad thing to me. This game's a lot easier in general, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just I don't really feel like a badass survivor fighting for his life. I feel like I'm fucking Batman. Granted, feeling like Batman is pretty cool, so I'm okay with it. Spider-Man Miles Morales has been surrounded by extreme hype ever since it was announced. Well, that and, oh my god, they changed his fucking face, how could they change his fucking face? How could they destroy the franchise like this? He looks like a fucking baby. And whilst I will agree, changing his face was unnecessary and he does indeed look like a newborn, it's not that big of a fucking deal. I think you'll manage, fellas. No, this game is not better than Spider-Man PS4 and it doesn't need to be. This game is still pretty good despite its issues, and I find myself enjoying it more and more as time goes on. This is a good Spider-Man story and a really good Miles story. The Tinkerer is really great and I love how she was written in this story, considering the Tinkerer is usually kind of boring. But they gave her a good and understandable arc. You kind of want her to get revenge in a way. Giving her a personal connection to Miles was a great idea, and it was honestly handled better than Martin Lee in the first game. I always felt like Martin could have been handled better. Not that I didn't like him as a villain, I just never had a reason to like him as a person, even though the game really wanted me to. As soon as I saw the Tinkerer, I knew it was Finn, and I was worried the game would try to convince me it wasn't her, but they revealed it like immediately, so it's fine. I also like her reveal quite a bit. If you know me, you know I love a good Kronos unveiling. I have no idea what that fucking means. It was certainly better than Martin's reveal. Oh, what was that? Oh, there he goes. One thing I hope for in this story is that Miles would have his rock bottom moment. And whilst there was moments where Miles got his ass handed to him, it never really seemed to deter him from being Spider-Man. We never got that, oh, the new Spider-Man sucks and we New Yorkers hate him now moment like I was expecting. People are assholes to him, yeah, but for seemingly no reason. Before he even does anything for people, they're all like, oh, you're not the real Spider-Man. Like, okay dude, I guess I just won't fucking help you, see ya. I also loved the Prowler in this game. You really come to like Uncle Aaron, and having to fight him really hurts, man. Miles' mom didn't really have much to do in this game. Also, when she finds out Miles is Spider-Man, she's just like, okay, that's cool, dude. Which is kind of strange for a mother to be so okay with, but whatever. There's another villain I almost forgot to mention, and that's the guy from Good Burger. He doesn't do a whole lot, and he has like 10 minutes of screen time. Moving on, let's talk about the gameplay. It's pretty damn good. Swinging. Fuck yes. The swinging in this game honestly feels better than the first game. Miles feels faster and his movement is so cool. Look at him go, he keeps on flipping. Miles' wacky animations are so cool, and it feels like you're actually swinging through the air.
It's full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
Side note, do you all remember that fucking review? Whoever wrote that review, I hope that keeps you up at night, you know, when you're like about to fall asleep and then your brain goes, nope, remember when you did this? I hope that's what happens to you every day. The combat in this game is also really good. Miles has a lot of new moves Peter didn't, and its animations are completely different. And Venom is such a cool addition. Getting to launch motherfuckers across the map is something that was deeply needed in this non-lethal superhero game. Invisibility is the best stealth cop-out ever. Oh, did someone see you? Shut the fuck up. No, they didn't. Also, stealth feels as good as ever. I don't know if this is a feature in the first game or not. I'm not gonna fact check it. The ceiling takedowns. Fuck yes. This is awesome. This is some amazing Spider-Man shit. Most people watching probably never played that game, but trust me, it's great. Or maybe it's not great. I don't know. I haven't played it in like 5 years, so don't take my word on it. The boss fights in this game are also really good. There's not that many though. There's only like 4 main story ones, but they're all pretty fun, especially Rhino. I was wondering how they'd be able to bring back villains from the first game in a new and exciting way, but the way they used Rhino was great. Both encounters were highlights of my playthrough. I could talk about this side content, but I'll be honest with you, I haven't played much of it. And honestly, I don't care that much about it. But shh, keep that between us. And I think I'm done talking about this game. Did I overhype it quite a bit? Yeah, and that could have easily led me to disappointment. I guess I'll end my little review here. This segment's gone on for way too fucking long. Oh, we're getting into straight masterpieces now. God of War 2018 completely resurrected and changed the franchise for the better. Not to say the original 6 games aren't good, because they very much fucking are. I'm honestly convinced that you can turn on just about any God of War game and know you're in for a good time. And God of War Ragnarok is no exception to this rule. This might honestly be the best God of War game, and I don't feel like I'm in a minority by saying that. Everyone and their mom has been talking about this game non-stop.
Like who?
Farmers?
Who else?
Farmers' mums.
God of War Ragnarok is a modern gaming masterpiece with unfathomable beauty, not only visually but story-wise as well. The journey of Kratos and his son Atreus is so easy to fall absolutely immersed in. These two's dynamic is laid out for us perfectly, and over the course of the 2 games we see them grow closer and come to an understanding of each other's unique perspectives. These 2 fucks have become the face of gaming in the last few years, and honestly I can see why. They're so expertly written and you almost feel like Kratos is a real person. In fact, just about every character is perfectly written, from the amazing Norse enemies to your friend who's a fucking squirrel. Everyone is giving their all in order to sell this world to us as real, and honestly, it's fucking working. God of Dad's 2018's combat is the fucking blast. Your attacks feel painful and heavy, and those glory kills are fucking brutal. God of War Ragnarok only improves on this combat and manages to create new and exciting set pieces for the player to participate in. God of War Ragnarok is a modern masterpiece and easily my favorite installment of the franchise. I can't wait to see where they'll take Kratos and Atreus next. Some of you might be surprised to see this game on my list at all, but trust me, this game is fucking great. Fully aware it's a remake, and honestly that's the only reason it's not higher on this list. I genuinely love this game. It's my favorite crime drama since GTA 4. Of course, the gameplay itself isn't anything impressive. It's literally the same gameplay from Mafia 3, bad parts and all. Like shooting, for example, feels like fucking shit, but I'm willing to look past that because the story is just that great. Of course, it's not the most groundbreaking idea ever. It's the same Mafia plot we've seen 1,000 times, but it's the characters that make it great. In this game, characters supersede plots, which is something I wish other games from 2020 would have done. Getting back on track, if you're a fan of open world crime games like GTA 5, this is not the game for you. This game, whilst open world, is a lot more linear and story based. It's similar to LA Noire, as there's not really any side objectives or anything to do outside of the main campaign. This game has a good story and the devs want you to experience it. Might I say this story completely blew my expectations out of the park. Going in, I was anticipating not to care about the story much or the main character. Like, am I supposed to give a shit about this random dude named Tommy? But as the game progressed and I watched him go from being your everyday taxi driver to a older, jaded man who's tired of the life he's chosen and is able to kill with ease. Watching him grow into part of the family felt natural, and I could completely understand why he wanted a way out. And when he died at the end, I fucking sobbed like a baby. And then I found out the dude who killed him is the main character of the second game, and now I'm hesitant to play that one. Cause fuck that guy, he killed Tommy.
Mr. Salieri sends his regards.
I think I'm more impacted by Tommy's death than when Joel died, seriously. I'm grateful this game exists, and it gets my hopes up that we'll start seeing more games like Mafia and LA Noire again in the future. But fuck that race mission though. You probably saw this one coming. Either that or you noticed I hadn't mentioned it yet. What can I say about this game that hasn't already been said? Well, honestly nothing. This game is fucking beautiful. I spent minutes on end just staring at the scenery. And the story is great. Jin is a compelling ass character and you really want to see him win this battle even though he's forced to betray all his morals to even stand a chance at winning. The combat in this game is fun despite the fact that there's no lock-on mechanic, which can make the game feel kinda clunky as a result sometimes. The stealth is your standard stealth that we've seen in just about every other game at this point. This game has no minimap, you're directed by the fucking wind, which is a godsend and only added to my immersion. Of course it has your typical Far Cry enemy bases, but they're pretty damn fun to take on. The game also has enemies you can learn combat tricks from if you observe them before cutting them down a few inches. As corny as it may sound, this game makes you feel like a samurai, and it's amazing. I love power fantasy games, and this one makes me feel like a fucking badass. It perfectly balances the combat enough in your favor and enough in your enemy's favor in order to make things feel as fair as possible. The side objectives are, for the most part, unique and interesting enough to incentivize me to actually play them. Side objectives have been ruined for me by games like Far Cry 5, but Ghost of Tsushima is the complete opposite of that. Not only are they fun to do, but they also heavily reward you if you do them. If you're willing to grind for it over the course of the game, you can become like the samurai version of Batman. That's the second time I've mentioned Batman in this fucking video. I promise you Gotham Knights is not on this fucking list though. I don't usually hear that much about this game anymore, and I'd honestly like for that to change. It's worth the hype, go play it. Also boys, we getting a sequel or what? You saw this one coming too, didn't you? Elden Ring is the result of what this franchise has been building up for well over a decade now. Everything has been building to this. They took everything that worked about the previous games and did nothing but improve on them. It also improved on a few bad parts from the old games. Finally, I can jump without getting launched into the fucking atmosphere. Elden Ring crafts an enormous world filled with more shit to do than I can begin to list. The world of Elden Ring is packed with so much detail and so many different creature and enemy designs. And with an estimated 238 bosses, chances are you'll find yourself playing this game for hours. If you went back in time and told young me that one day he'd be able to play an entirely open world Soulsborne type game, I would have called you a fucking liar. This map is fucking massive. It's more than half the size of Skyrim, which is fucking insane to me. Everywhere you look, you can go. That map is filled with so many different areas that all have a unique look to them. You come across places like the Lake of Rot and the Forbidden Lands, and also Florida. You're able to freely explore just about everything in this game from the very beginning. For example, my ass fucked up and somehow found this place filled with giant hands that moved around like spiders.
Why do I even play video games, man?
Elden Ring's combat is almost flawless. The amount of different builds that are presented to you is overwhelming.
Bro's really practicing necromancy.
In short, Elden Ring is a modern masterpiece, and I honestly think it's going to change the gaming landscape as we know it. If you haven't played Elden Ring yet, you're fucking up. Simple as that. Now, I know it's kinda crazy to follow up Elden Ring with Sifu, but I don't care. Sifu is one of the most well-crafted games I've ever played. Never has it felt so good to punch motherfuckers in the face. If you don't know, Sifu is a 3D beat-em-up game that got nominated as a fighting game for some reason.
Best fighting game. Sifu. Why is Sifu here?
At only the most sacred and beloved award show of all time, all the Game Awards.
You know, real quick, I want to thank everybody and say that I think I want to nominate this award to my Reformed Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton.
It's not really a fighting game, it's a beat 'em up, and it's a damn good one. Everything about this game works perfectly. It all has to work to make this insane premise at all playable. In Sifu, every time you die, which is often, you age up a little bit. Every time that you die in each area, that number is then added to your death counter, which is the set number of years you'll lose every time you die. So if you had like 4 deaths in your death counter and then you died again, it would add 4 years to your age. So you could walk into a level looking like this and walk out fucking decrepit. Point is, dying has quite a few consequences in this game, but the fact that it spawns you in exactly where you were and just says, okay, try again, pal, is honestly so nice. The combat feels stellar in this game. You have your base light attack and heavy attack as to be expected, but you can also do cool shit like use your focus and leg sweep a motherfucker, and then immediately punch them in the face. You have several different unlockable combos and abilities that you can upgrade at these random statues found in each level. You can also use these to level up your strength or lower your age. Thank God for that one. The game has a variety of different weapons like lead pipes and knives. You can use them to pound on motherfuckers or just throw them directly in their face for an instant takedown. Oh, and how could I forget? The fucking takedown animation. Ooh, god damn, you really feel the impact of every hit. These animations are so brutal, it feels like I'm watching a World Star video. I'm gonna keep dragging this out to show you how cool these animations are. Wow, look at that one. Hey, that one's pretty cool. Sifu has 5
or I guess 6.
heavily varying boss fights that all specialize in their own form of combat. There's the silent botanist guy, the creepy 7-foot tall dude, scary bitch, old scary bitch, and this asshole. I don't remember their names right now, I'm sorry. But each one of these stand out just like every level stands out. Everything about this game stands out to me. I would keep going, but I'm already making a video on this game, so you're just gonna have to be patient with me. I don't know what else to say besides play Sifu. Thank you.